Hi there, my name is Teddy, and I just love spending time deep diving into different characters, exploring their themes, their historical and cultural influences, and cultivating a personal style for them. I spend a long time on Pinterest gathering reference images, and a lot of times I fully end up going down rabbit holes on Wikipedia and other historical blogs and websites and stuff. If you watch my video about my personal OCs, you'll see just how many drastic changes have gone into their looks over the years that I've had them, as I attempt to refine their overall existence. And if I were ever so lucky as to get my very own animated show, you can bet I'm making sure they're perfect before pencil hits paper on the first storyboard. Today we're talking about Hazbin Hotel. I first found out about 𝘧𝘢𝘬𝘺 from her music video for Die Young by Kesha in 2014. I've always wanted to be a digital artist, animator specifically, and a few of her works became part of my inspiration playlist. Though I wouldn't exactly call my past self a fan of hers, I did revisit those pieces often to marvel at how dynamic her character designs were. It has been over a decade since that music video went up, and like some of my other YouTube faves, it has since been privated. But also in that decade, 𝘧𝘢𝘺 has grown to be a very well-known figure in the indie animation scene. And, since then, I don't actually think her art's... I don't think it's gotten worse, but I also don't think it's gotten better. It's just stagnant. It still feels like 2014. That's not to say there haven't been changes. Sort of lateral movements. The character we're talking about today, Charlie Morningstar, is a lot different in her Amazon Prime A24 final form than she was at other points in her development. But what really gets me is comparing that final form to her pilot design. Somehow, every change is so subtle, and yet I didn't like a single one. I love Pilot Charlie, honestly, I do. She has that unyielding optimism that I gave to the protagonist of my own OCs, and I find her quite charming. I still had some issues with that design, sure. I never really liked her hair. It doesn't make sense to me how the shape works whatsoever, but I also don't really like what they changed it to either, so it's kind of a wash. Her original hairstyle, despite not making any sense, was a unique silhouette that reflected her attempt to look professional and her ultimate failure to do so because of her impulsive hyper energy. Now she just has a double ponytail. It's giving nothing. Actually, it's giving still doesn't make sense because what is happening with her bangs? The shape is so odd and it only works from 2 angles, and why are they red underneath? No other part of her hair is red. Did we really not have enough of it in her design without that? Her face wasn't busy enough with all the features being so big they bust out the line art? Sorry. One of the things Hazbin, in its entirety, is infamous for is the fucking red. Everything red. And then when the official designs came out for the Amazon show, they made under her bangs, her pupils, and her pants all red. Why? And it's so much brighter than it was in the pilot too. It used to be a dusty pink, kind of. And I liked that for her, especially next to 𝘧𝘢𝘺's more gray palette. However, not only were there changes to her pilot design, they changed her personality too. And I don't even know how much of that was intentional. Like all of the changes made for the official show, it's not super obvious at first. There's the things everyone has talked to death, like how much she curses in her dialogue now, which I agree with, by the way. I know it's nice to make use of that mature audiences rating, but we could tone it down a little for the sake of character consistency every now and then. The thing that really irks me is how she treats the hotel. The titular aspect of the entire show. In the pilot, it seems like she really genuinely cares about this project. She's working her butt off and putting herself out there in an attempt to do something good for the place she calls home and all the people that live there. And we have a great setup for why that's gonna be an uphill battle too. People in hell are resigned to their fate. It seems like most people don't believe there's a chance at anything better than what they've got, so they embrace it, even though there is an annual chance they could get erased from existence. The exterminations are their own issue. When I first watched the pilot, I was under the impression that the exterminations had been going on for, I don't know, like centuries, that the ruling class of Hell has done nothing to prepare for or prevent these purges for a prolonged period. And then finally, here comes this peppy princess proposing to preclude their persecution. It's powerful! Then we find out they've only been going on for like 7 years. The exterminations, Alistair's hiatus, Lilith's disappearance. I get that it's a biblical number related to Revelations. I even talked about that in my Wizards of the Black Circle video a bit. 4 wizards plus 3 tricks equals 7 bad guys. 6 winks plus 1 Roxy equals 7 good guys. It's mostly a fun coincidence since I went with the 4 horsemen theme, but it's just fun to play around with stuff like that. So really, I get it. It's just when we're dealing with the scale of something like hell, literal hell, 7 years feels really short. I'm sure there will be some reason given that will explain it and tie it all together as some part of a big plot by some secret big bad that we aren't supposed to know about yet. But I still disagree with the decision to do that. There's also the fact that it means that Vaggie is only 7 years old, since Adam created the Exorcists himself for this specific thing, which I'll talk more about when I do Vaggie's redesign, but yeah. That's weird. I kind of got off track. In the pilot, Charlie seems to genuinely be invested in the hotel, which I found compelling for her as a character and promising for the show as a whole. Now it seems as though the entire project was basically just a way for her to try to get her mom's attention wherever she is, because Charlie doesn't know. She doesn't know what happened to her mom. She doesn't know that she's just chilling up there in heaven. But since Lilith seemed to be viewed as a champion for all of the sinners, she thought this was a way to reach out to her. I guess Charlie thought that she would take notice of her doing something like this. She doesn't actually seem to care about the people once they get there, which is kind of the entirety of the plot of season 2. Something I really like about Charlie's design is her tendency to lean a bit more towards masculine silhouettes. Her trouser, suspender, and button-up combo in the pilot and her full-on pantsuit in the show are both really good choices in my opinion, even if I wish they'd been workshopped a bit more. I think overall her personal style is very interesting. For better or worse, Hazbin does ring true as a queer show. It's honestly been really nice to see an openly bisexual woman that embodies that brand of masculine femininity that we're sort of known for, even as a princess and supposedly the protagonist. I mean, she's no Adora, but you know, it's like nice, I guess. Happy Pride to these two freaks. I wanted to maintain the vibe of Charlie's attempting to appear more put together, but also that she's sort of not very good at it. She's been sheltered most of her life, and the hotel was a passion project after witnessing an extermination firsthand following the disappearance of her mother. She's a socially stunted rich kid on a quest for independence, and a naive, good-hearted ruler that truly believes she can help the people of her kingdom. I ended up going with a light peachy color for her overall body, since she's supposed to be like a little lamb, and I kept her outfit as something that still sort of feels like it could be a hotel uniform, but it's not just shirt pants. Since she's the princess of hell and fully embraces it, she can have the red. Her hair is super curly but confined to 2 braids. Still playful and emphasizing her youthful spirit, but low and tidy to show her commitment to growth. I gave her bells because, well, she's a lamb. I feel like she would just think they're fun. Imagine her welcoming guests with jazz hands and her little bells ringing. Oh, also I gave her a headband that kind of works as a crown, but I wanted it to feel sort of ancient feeling, so it's more based on like a Minoan style headband. I feel like her being a princess is a bit glossed over in the show, honestly. Like, it comes up a few times and she would probably want to be low-key about it, but at the end of the day, it's a core part of her character, and it really shouldn't be swept under the rug. If you've been here a while, you may be familiar with my method of conceptualizing for character designs. I do lots of research and reference gathering beforehand and really try to nail down an overall theme for the look I want to create. And I do think that process is a skill, synthesizing connections between different aspects of the story, character, lore, setting. It takes time and experience. I can say with confidence that I've gotten a lot better at it since I started doing redesign videos, and hopefully I'll continue to learn and improve as I do more. For this redesign series, I'm looking at it from the angle level of concept art. So these designs won't be animation friendly, but rather a way of getting details that I think are relevant to the character down on digital paper. I'll also be treating their canon designs as another piece of concept art that I'm working with, rather than as their finalized designs that I'm redoing. Does that make sense? So for a lot of them, there's going to be some major changes to their looks. For the most part, I want to keep their actual stories and personalities the same and focus on making a design that really encapsulates the themes, backstories, and core identities of what we're working with. However, there are a few small changes that I'll be throwing in here and there when it comes to story beats as well. I just can't help myself, I'm sorry. And I know this because something I've really been trying to work on is keeping track of all of my ideas and more thoroughly planning things out before I make the videos. I'm working on a master doc for all my Winx rewrite stuff, and good lord, I wish I had done that from the beginning. So for this endeavor, I've got at least mood boards and general ideas mapped out for almost the entirety of our cast in Hell, and I'll probably move on to their colleagues in Heaven too. Is that something you guys would be interested in seeing alongside the preliminary sketch ideas? Like the mood boards and stuff? Another thing of note for this redesign project is that I'm going to stay the course of giving all the sinners actual animal themes. Or actually, I shouldn't say animal. Let's say non-human life forms instead. That'll be an overarching through line for all of the Earthborn inhabitants of Hell, which is mostly going to be my focus here. Not sure if I'll be diving into Hell of a Boss anytime soon, to be honest. I want to highlight the fact that upon death, these people were deemed to have been unworthy of entering the kingdom of heaven, and part of their punishment is no longer embodying the image of God, aka looking human. Though Charlie is Hellborn, neither of her parents are, and one of them even was an Earthborn human that ended up in Hell, so Charlie will also have that non-human look to her. I plan on giving each character 2 redesigns in their video, and for Charlie, that's her normal, everyday look at the hotel, and her big scary demon form. Because yeah, she's a demon. She needs a form that looks demonic. Also, I feel like creature/monster designs are kind of a blind spot in my skill set, so this was a nice little exercise for me. My first go at trying to make this form was lackluster, in my opinion. It didn't feel like Charlie to me, and I think that this sort of werewolf-esque body shape is like a crutch for me when it comes to trying to make something monstrous for some reason. So I stared at it for a really long time, and then I stared at pictures of sheep for a really long time, and you know, I just kind of dove back in. This time I started from a quadruped base to really push myself in another direction, but I extended her forearms to create a kind of optional upright posture. I think the long arms and spindly human-like hands also give an extra air of uncanniness that aids to the design feeling more demonic. I mean, she also has giant ram horns and bat wings and a pointy tail, so that helps too. The wings are inherited from her mama, whom I also have plans for, but I think her body is too big and bulky for them to really do much. I imagine this form would be better suited for kicking and slashing during a battle than any kind of aerial-based fighting, but that's where Vaggie can help. Plus, I think it would be really funny and in character for her to try to fly with them and only getting up like a few feet off the ground, just kind of like bobbing in midair. Man, I despise the fact that we end season 1 with a battle against heaven. With Hazbin being a show infected by the single-digit episode count plague, there was simply not enough time to flesh anything out enough that the finale felt as grand and impactful as it should have. I've heard that they didn't know they were getting another season, but I mean, like, come on, they were getting another season. I mean, a battle between heaven and hell, and it felt like it lasted 20 minutes in universe. But I do understand that this was the inciting incident that allowed for Sir Pentious to be fully redeemed and sent to heaven, which was necessary for the plot, I guess. By the end of season 1, I personally think, for the sake of pacing, at the very least, somebody had to get redeemed somehow. And I'm glad it was Pentious. I like that guy. While working on this, a pretty major part of my goal was for her to still feel like a big sweetie pie. And I think that making her fluffy like a sheep was a good way to go about that. But what really sells it for me are her eyes. I just think those big, round, sparkling black eyes are so cute, despite the context around them. I like that this form feels like leveling up from lamb to sheep, too. Her demon form in the show is so lame. I'm sorry. Both hers and her dad's. It's so lame that honestly, I feel like there's barely anything to say about it. Like, how is it gonna be that the king of hell and his demonic spawn just grow some wings and horns? When lesser demons like Bee and Asmodeus and freaking Stolas have full-on scary-ass transformations. Look at this! In the show, Charlie is around 200 years old, but looks to be in her like mid-20s on a human scale, which I love, by the way. I am so glad she's not a teenager. There are two ways it could go for her as far as aging. Either she ages the 𝘧𝘢𝘬𝘦𝘭𝘭 way, and it slows down as she gets older, or she ages at a consistent rate that's just very slow. Like, I don't know, Mavis or Marcel. I think that's how she ages. I'm an anime only right now. I imagine it would be more like the latter for Charlie. She likely still slows down around the time she starts to look like 40 though, which is very interesting because it doesn't seem like the sinners ever age. That's a distinction that I think could be delved into a lot, but of course, you know, it ain't. Anyways, because she's still a young demon, her demonic form isn't as big as it can get, but it's still substantially bigger than her humanoid form, and that's Demon Charlie. I've been wanting to redesign Hazbin for ages. The characters can be really fun and interesting, but their designs just fall so flat for me. As I mentioned, I have most of them planned out, and I am so excited to show you guys what is in those mood boards. It's about time. Are my complaints valid, or am I just a hater? Do you like my choice of lamb theme for Charlie? I've seen other redesigns go a few ways. Lamb is one of my favorites, but I do adore a good porcelain doll Charlie. It just doesn't really work with what I'm going for the world as a whole, I guess. And knowing that, is there anyone in particular you're really excited to see me redesign? There are some that I'm really excited to hear your guys' opinions on. And of course, if you like this video, check out my card in the description for my socials and shop and stuff. I am now selling things exclusively on Etsy, but there is more stuff coming on there very soon. I actually just posted a bunch of Chainsaw Man stickers. And in the card, there are also 2 Google Forms. There's one if you're interested in purchasing a commission for me, and one where you can submit your OCs for the chance of getting them in a future OC design video. Okay, I am so excited to get this video out, so I'm gonna wrap this up now. Bye! I love the idea of Vaggie and Charlie cuddling while Charlie is a big fluffy sheep monster. Can we please get these women some more chemistry?